Community engagement is a phrase we hear a lot, but what does it really mean? For Freemasons, it's about more than just writing cheques and turning up to events. It's about being an active part of the community, lending a hand where it's needed and making a real and lasting difference. Today, we are joined by Brother Dave Barton, Chairman of the Cross Keys Community Fund, and together we'll be exploring what community engagement looks like in action, why it's so important to Freemasonry, and how it impacts the world around us. My name is Sam and I'm joined by Paul.
Hello.
Hello, Paul. How are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
Yes, all good. What have you been up to?
My lodge did a joint social, so all the lodges that meet at my centre, which is Cross Keys, came together to raise money.
Nice.
Chicken and chips.
Nice.
Really quite nice.
A real social event.
Yeah, just a real social. Always gets quite competitive. We have this table game where you shuffle like pound coins nearest the bottle. And my goodness, it gets so competitive.
Okay.
You have a time limit of about 10 minutes. The first 5 minutes, nobody's doing it at all. The last 5 minutes, my gosh.
Where does that money go to?
That will go to the Cross Keys Community Fund, which is our joint charity, but that's probably a good lead in for today's episode.
That's exactly what we're talking about. So, as ever, I have a quote. Today's quote comes from George Washington, who obviously was a Freemason. And the quote is, "Freemasonry is founded on the immutable laws of justice and truth, and its grand object is to promote the happiness of the human race." What do you think of that one then, Paul?
Yeah.
Okay. So today, we're not just talking about theory. We've got a special guest who knows exactly what it means to roll up his sleeves and make a difference, Dave Barton. So let's find out how Freemasonry can transform lives and make their communities a better place. So welcome, Dave. How are you?
Not too bad, thanks.
Nice. I'm glad you've come on.
Oh, cheers. No problem at all.
So let's start off straight away with what exactly is the Cross Keys Community Fund?
We are the combined lodges of the Cross Keys. We get together, we raise money, and we give it to the community through various incentives. We have always believed that we're bigger than the sum of our parts and try to find that link between charity and what we do as Freemasons and the community.
So where did the idea come from? How did this begin?
There's a few guys that have been arranging pantomimes for a few years now. Roy Mills, Chris Bushell, and a guy called Clive Cheeseman. And for time immemorial, they've done a panto for local disadvantaged children and the Women's Refuge. I got involved about 2 or 3 years ago because of other work I was doing for the charity for some of the same causes. And I realised that by combining ourselves together for this one event, with a little bit of steering, we could probably do it for many more events and raise some money to impact more than just at Christmas, because obviously charity is 365 days a year. Yeah. So, through various ideas, we managed to get other lodges involved, and then I just kept coming up with different ways to engage with the community, and luckily I had support of the people that work with us, all volunteers from the lodges, and it's just grown and grown. I mean, to some point you could say exponentially, because it's going, what we're doing now is being viewed across the UK as something that, other centres could possibly look at.
So what actually has the Cross Keys Community Fund done?
So much. As I said, we started off with Christmas parties for local children. And then I thought, well, do you know what? I think we can do something a little bit bigger. I think we can take on something else, push it out there, get more people involved. So probably the first thing we did, which had the biggest impact, which really helped us get on the right way, was collecting Easter eggs and donating them to local community groups, children with special needs, care homes, stroke survivors. I mean, the list went on and on, children's wards in local hospitals. In the end, we got so many, we raised, I think there was like 1,500 Easter eggs.
Yeah, you couldn't move in the centre.
You couldn't move, and it was that big, it actually made the ITV news.
Really?
It made the ITV news. I was playing golf one morning, really quite badly, and a friend of mine phoned me up, and he said, "You're on ITV East Anglia." So what are you talking about? And he recorded it for me, and sure enough, there I was standing with about 1,500 Easter eggs.
Did it improve your game?
No. I went off to celebrate. But what it did, it really gave us a platform to show people, look, with the smallest of inputs, being a £1 Easter egg, the output the goal, the reach was, and again, I use the word again, but it was exponential. I mean, if we can raise 1,500 Easter eggs to give to 15 groups in 2 weeks, imagine what we could do with other initiatives if we really pulled together. And from there, I come up with other ideas. And again, with the support of the people involved with the group at that time, of which, to be perfectly honest, there was only 3 lodges. But the idea is that by giving the recognition to all the lodges within the centre, at some point they'll come along to you and say, how can we help more? And that was 18 months ago, and now I'm pleased to say that every single lodge within our centre has got an active member of the Cross Keys Community Fund, and we've now supporting over 70 local groups and charities.
Because in each centre, several lodges meet, don't they? Because the centre's obviously the building. So how many lodges is there?
Well, there's 6 in ours.
And everybody's involved?
Everybody's involved.
You've started off with the Easter eggs.
Yep.
Then you say about you came up with loads and loads of ideas. What were those ideas? What happened after?
I always have these ideas that what can you do for not a lot of money? Because again, it's when you're a small group and you're a new group, it's hard to get people to get involved, and it's hard to get people to understand what you're trying to do. But you can do that if there hasn't got a lot of investment for people. If people don't mind putting £1 in a jar, that to help you raise a bit of money, then they'll do it. And if they can see the success of what you can do with a small idea that grows, then obviously the aim always was to get more people involved and raise more money. So the best idea I think we called it a virtuous circle. It came from meeting a few people once in a knitting group, and one of the problems they had was funding for wool, a simple ball of wool. But one of the things that really impressed me was that some of the senior citizens in this group, it was their one chance in the week to go out. They was going out into a warm, safe space. They were socialising with people, which is massive for mental health, especially during the winter period. Warm space, socialising, but they didn't have wool to do it. So we purchased boxes and boxes of wool. We started donating it to various knit and natter groups. And then the virtuous circle part comes from the fact that they're coming out, they're being social, it's good for their mental health, but they're taking the ball of wool and they're creating things. So one of the things they started creating was baby hats for neonatal units. They started creating lap blankets for care homes. They started creating twiddle muffs for care homes of people with Alzheimer's. They have restless hands. So a twiddle muff is basically a woolen tube as such, with buttons fabricated to it that they can twiddle on, hence twiddle muff, because you put your hands in it and you twiddle with the ribbons and the buttons and the zips. And we've got about 4 or 5 knit and natter groups now doing these things, as well as the Women's Institute. And then once they've made these items, we then go and collect them from them to engage with them. It has to be engagement. We're not just faceless Freemasons, we engage with the people. But then we collect these items and we go to the care homes, we go to the hospitals and the neonatal units. And then because of the unbelievable response that it gets, people start fundraising, and then you buy more wool. And again, it's a virtuous circle. It goes round and round and round and round and round. It got to the point where, I get no word of a lie, I actually got an email from the head of Knitting Now magazine and UK Crochet Weekly. They'd done a feature on the Cross Keys Community Fund in one of their publications and actually sent me 3 boxes of hats for neonatal units in hospitals in Essex. It was absolutely unbelievable. Again, it's such a simple idea, but because of the community, the actual community engagement, there was a lot of press about it, and then knitting publications were contacting me, asking how they can get involved. It was incredible.
And it all started with wool.
One ball of wool.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
One ball of wool.
It seems like it's not just the money given, because it's really easy to just give money, but it's about the visibility and it's about the engagement.
Exactly. Like back with the Easter eggs, we took the Easter eggs to the places. We sat with the people in the care homes and we spoke about Easter and their memories. We went to the hospitals and we took them to the children's wards. With the balls of wool, we actually actively engage with 6 or 7 care homes in Thurrock alone. We go to the hospital and the neonatal units, and we actually, through what we was doing there, we met another group called Colourful Beginnings, which is a specialist charity just for neonatal babies. So now we've got a wonderful relationship with them as well. And again, it all came from a ball of wool, but active community engagement. So again, what you can do with very little money is absolutely unbelievable if you have the will and the drive to go and engage. And that is absolutely the most important thing.
Genuinely amazing.
It's something I am very proud of, especially that one, because I've seen the good it does. And once you see that, it gives you such a feeling that you want to do more. as I said earlier, we are great at the sum of our parts. Let's engage with people. Let's show them the best of Freemasonry by talking to them, sitting with them. You know, it's not all about money. It's about talking and hearing their stories.
There must have been barriers in the way. How do you overcome them, and what were they?
Time is difficult, but I've got really good volunteers within the Cross Keys Community Fund. Myself, Mick Draper, Chris Bushell, Phil Smith, Neil McCarthy, Steve Hall, and Paul Morgan, old Palmerians. That's what I said. I mean, that now we've got every single one of the lodges actively involved. And so now we've got so many people. I mean, Mick Draper is constantly at Mary Lute's with knitted blankets and twiddle muffs. Chris is always at Willow's Lodge in Tilbury. Paul Morgan's done his bit with art books, you know, which is another thing from the Cross Keys Community Fund. So, yeah, I mean, we've got really good people, really good helpers. I mean, Phil Smith was the other day dressed up as an elf. Neil McCarthy's just been around my house collecting colouring books. I mean, Steve Hall I was with yesterday at the Thurrock Foster Care Home Christmas party, where, again, as the Cross Keys Community Fund, we raised some money and we gave a donation of selection boxes to every child. We've got a lot of people to help. It's not just the people in the committee, other people within the lodge help. At our Christmas party on Saturday, we had members of our lodge that are not necessarily part of the Cross Keys Community Fund committee, but all part of the Cross Keys. So they was dressed up as elves, dishing out chicken and chips to the children and doing magic tricks. It feels like a community within our actual centre.
Have you heard of this in other centres?
Honestly, no.
Why do you think that is?
I imagine it's difficult, to be honest, because we're not the biggest centre, but what we've got is people with a similar drive. Now, lodges have always been good with charity, and the charity steward will always go and engage with charities and donate money. But our goal is different. Our goal is to bridge the part between charity and community, because we do stuff for charity. We send money to charity, but do we engage? The point of this group is to go out and actually engage with the community. Go to the local schools. We have competitions all the time with local schools. We come up with art projects and design a Christmas card, design a Christmas jumper. The winners all get prizes, and at Christmas they also get an invite to the annual Christmas party. In Easter we do it, design a colourful Easter egg, and the winners all get Easter eggs and they get colourful prizes. We do it at Halloween. We do so many things. And again, these things don't cost a lot of money. If you take, say, 6 schools, 3 year groups, maybe 2 winners from each year group, you're probably looking about £50 worth of prizes per school. So if you can get £250 together between six lodges and, say, 3 chapters, it's not a lot. It's just about having the ideas. And so once you've got one idea, like the art competitions, you've only got to replicate it. You have one at Easter, you have one at Christmas, you have one at Halloween. So you've got 3 different important parts of the year, and we're engaging them as Freemasons. So make that holiday season a little bit more special by giving them a prize. I mean, what could be easier than that?
Not only is it the lodges that are now giving, but then you put on the balls and stuff like that. Raise phenomenal amount of money for all these good causes.
Yeah, I mean we've tried to raise money by engaging with the lodges, and that's the bones of what we do. We try and say the lodge engagement with a yearly donation is the bones of what we do. All the fundraising efforts, that's kind of your meat. That's where you can go and help other people. And the charity ball, it really helps that. I think we raised £3,500 at the last one. I mean, we've been picked up a lot by Essex Freemasons and UGLE. And UGLE, I've got to say, has been unbelievably supportive.
United Grand Lodge of England.
Yeah, I mean, they've been unbelievable. So I think we've been about 9 articles in UGLE now. And that's really helped people get behind us.
They've pushed you out to the world.
Really pushed us out to the world.
It's about shouting about your achievements, isn't it? By doing that, you're gaining support, you're gaining help. It snowballs.
Yeah.
It's not just giving money, it is also being there.
Mm.
And so it's such a simple idea. Just go and engage with the community. People don't like to show their faces, but it's beneficial for the future of Freemasonry. We need to show the very best of Freemasonry. And there's people out there doing some absolutely amazing things.
The reality is the more you do, the more you get the face of Freemasonry out there, the more members you attract. The more members you attract, the more money coming into charity and more volunteers to help.
Yep.
It's as you say, it's a circle. It helps everyone.
What are the future plans for the Cross Keys Community Fund?
See, that is a difficult question. That is difficult. Because the future is keep doing what we're doing, but grow it even bigger. We'll still keep engaging with the schools. We'll still keep doing the competitions. We'll still engage with all the hospitals in Essex. But what we'll do with more fundraising is we'll engage with more schools. And we just grow and we grow and we grow. And there's lots of community groups that are coming up all the time that we didn't know. I say yesterday we was working with the Thurrock foster care team. We've also just done donation, and this had to be a donation because it was actually for things they need. But this was for the Thurrock Talking News, which is an unbelievable group of volunteers, of people that basically take local newspapers and they read it into a memory stick. And then somebody takes those memory sticks round to local blind and partially sighted people so they can put it onto their iPlayers or, whatever the technical is. So they can put it in.
They have special players that you
Special
can
players,
put
I done it, yeah.
the USB in and it plays whatever, because the RNIB do that.
Exactly. So they do that and they can hear the news. It's such a simple idea. And the money for them was to help purchase more USB sticks because obviously because of their age, sometimes they go missing. So that money was purely for that. But how can you say no to such an amazing thing?
Yeah.
To give people with no sight the ability to understand local news. I mean, unbelievable place. We now work with Time, which is a local charity for disadvantaged children where they use music to enhance their lives. So we bought them musical instruments. Again, we engaged directly with them. Steve Hall and Neil McCarthy visited them on one of their band nights and they stood there crashing cymbals and banging drums with them. That's exactly what it's for. And then come Easter, we'll take them a load of Easter eggs and we'll keep the engagement going.
Yeah.
So future fundraising allows us to have more groups like that and do more things with them. It just grows and grows and grows.
I think one of the biggest recent ones was Remembrance Day.
Oh, the Remembrance Day one, yeah. That was another one. Somebody contacted me, a local councillor, and he asked me to look at what we could possibly do in the area of Stiffer Clays. It needs some support for the community. It needs to re-energise community spirit. So one of the things we looked at, I've got a friend of mine, he's a friend, Steve Rowe from our lodge. He works with the Stiffer Dolphins, which is the local cub group. And for the last couple of years, they've gone to a place called Blackthorn Park in Stiffer Clays, and they've done a memorial service. Now, Blackthorn Park has got nothing there. There's some swings, there's a garden, people would take their dogs there. So there's nothing there. I looked on the local Thurrock registry, if that's the term for it, the local Thurrock news website, and I see that Stiffer Clays was one of the only areas in the whole of Thurrock that didn't have a memorial garden. So with the help of Steve, my friend Martin, absolutely invaluable, the three of us built a memorial garden. Hard work, dedication, a lot of sweat, and with the supporting of the Cross Keys Community Fund, it helped us to pay for some of the materials. So when the Cubs went down there this Remembrance Sunday, for the first time ever in the history of Stiffer Clays, there was a Remembrance Day service, and with the support of Freemasons from the Cross Keys Centre and Allsit Centre, nearly 400 people turned up to watch the Cubs do a remembrance service in front of a newly built memorial that wasn't there 2 months ago. And again, it was just an unbelievable achievement. And again, it comes down to the idea of community engagement. Give the community something they not only need, but be proud of, And they'll get that engagement again with the Freemasons, that we made it happen, we made it work.
What do you think it means to communities?
I think it means a lot. I mean, it comes down again to the award. It's not just the Freemasons are looking what we're doing now, the community are looking what we're doing, and they've seen us as an asset. And this is one of the things I've been saying for so long. We need to become an asset to the community. Freemasons do unbelievably good work for charity, but we need to become a community asset. We need to be someone that community can come to if they need help. We can't always help everybody, but we can help some of them. And we can talk to them, we can ask what help they need, and we can look to get that help for them. Even if we can't do it ourselves, we can point them in the right direction to various other funds that maybe can help them.
So the one thing I have learnt from this is that actually you listen to people and then act on their suggestions, really, their ideas.
Yeah, and because as I said earlier, no idea is a bad idea. It's just, can you make it happen? I mean, a lot of the ones I was speaking about earlier, the folk stroke survivors, that was an idea from Mick Draper. Time, that was an idea from Steve Hall. We also, only last week, myself and Chris Bushell was in Tilbury, so we donated some money to help the Tilbury community lights. And again, we don't always do money, we try to avoid it where possible. But myself and Chris thought this was a good one because it's about community engagement. And at Christmas, it's about the community, it's about children. So what better thing to do than give them some Christmas lights? So myself and Chris went down there and Yeah, watch the Christmas lights. I mean, as again, I do have to keep coming back. I mean, I spend a lot of time doing this, so I do have to thank my wife for the support. I like to engage with the community. It's so important. You have to listen to them. It's no point in giving people something if they don't necessarily need it. And you only find it if they actually need it by going and talking to them. And when you talk to them, they have ideas of what you could do for someone else.
Yeah. But you inspired your wife, haven't you?
Yeah,
She's got her own group.
Yeah, and that come about through the Freemasons. Davina was at a ladies' night, and she's talking to a gentleman there, one of our brethren, and he said about the fact that he likes to go out and socialise, but there's not really many places somebody in their late 70s, 80s can go and socialise that isn't necessarily a knitter natter group, or it isn't something that a gentleman might find as a little bit boring. So my wife, she really dwelled on this for quite a while, and then she had an idea to just create a social day, a social event at local pubs and call it Forever Young. The Cross Keys Community Fund, we provided games, chess, cribbage, things like that. And then all these senior citizens, they come down to the pubs that the event's in. They get chaperoned inside in case they don't want to come in on their own. And they get in, and there's people of a similar age that just want to have a drink, play games. Only yesterday, actually, they had their first Christmas event, and there was, I think, 40, 50 people there, all having Christmas dinner.
It's genuinely inspiring.
It's just, again,
honestly.
And that's the whole thing. The reason that group works is because it's a community engagement. It's not just saying, here's some money, go and have Christmas dinner. Yeah. It's literally saying, right, I'm going to come with you, and I'm going to sit with you, and I'm going to talk to you, and I'm going to hear about what you want, and I'm going to engage with you.
And again, that come about from her listening to someone. We all listen to people with ideas, but none of us really act on it.
I met a guy recently, Richard Jones. Is the magician that won Britain's Got Talent, performed in front of the King. Spoke to him and thought, you know what, wonder what we can do. So I had an idea. I'm obsessed with pieces of paper. I know it sounds crazy, but what can you do with an A4 piece of paper? What can you do with an A4 piece of paper? You can write on it, you can colour it, you can do things. So I had an idea that what you can do is maybe create some magic. Now, you can't actually make it disappear unless you chuck it in the bin. I mean, that's an easy trick. But I come up with an idea to, do you remember Christmas crackers when you were a kid? And there was the magic card trick where you give somebody 5 cards, they choose a number from it. They give the cards back and they know what number you chose. It's to do with binary maths.
Right.
Well, we just turned that into a magic trick on a piece of paper. So on one side, there's a colouring page of a magician pulling a rabbit out of a hat, and there's 5 playing cards that look exactly like playing cards. On the other side, there's the binary numbers and more colouring in. The children cut the cards, they've got the instructions on the back, and they've got a magic trick. And it costs 2p because it's on cardboard, so it's twice the price. They cost 2p. And the other one was a memory game. You put the cards down, you turn 2 over, you match it. I had this A4 piece of paper. You coloured in 2 magic rabbits, you coloured in 2 magic hats, you coloured in 2 magicians, and then the child then cuts it out. They turn them over and they play a game.
And where are they going to?
They're going to hospitals, they're going to local primary schools, they go to children's groups. Richard does a lot with local schools and various charities where he lives. So he takes them to those places as well as packs. So once again, by meeting other Freemasons, he just extends it that little bit further again. And all for an A4 piece of paper and engaging with people. It really is simple.
So what advice would you give to others who want to get involved? I mean, honestly, I feel inspired to want to get involved.
Have confidence in yourself, ask people for help, and never be afraid to ask for help, because somebody will listen to you. I mean, if anybody ever wants to speak to me, I mean, one of my roles within Freemasonry is press officer for Essex, so I get a lot involved with various press releases, and all the press releases. So I'm easy to find, but I mean, if people want to contact me, they can contact me and I'll help them. Because that's the thing, I mean, I can't do what I do without other people. So I should be there to help other people. They want to do some of the things we do. Be proud of what you do as a Freemason, because we all got involved with Freemasonry for our own reasons. Mine was for charity. And it all came from the first time I went to a meeting and heard Chris Bushell tell everybody that he'd gone to a Christmas party and the children never seen Santa before. So I went on Amazon, good old Amazon, bought 100 presents and donated it to the charity he was talking about. That's actually how I got involved with the Christmas party at the Cross Keys Community Fund, because of that. And that's kind of how it grew from there. But again, I spoke to people. I listened to Chris. Chris told me something, or Chris told the lodge something, I should say. I listened to Chris and I thought, I think we can do something here. Never be afraid to ask people for help. Just go and talk to people, engage with people.
At the end of this podcast, we have final thought. Sam's
Yeah.
final thought. I can't top that.
No.
I will do it, but I can't top that at all.
Sam, I think he's done you out of a job.
It's about listening to people. Engage with the community, be proud to be a Freemason, never be afraid to ask for help, and let's do the best we can to help.
On behalf of everyone in Freemasonry, I'm going to say thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Cheers, thank you.
So, community engagement is at the heart of what Freemasonry stands for, connecting with others, supporting those in need, and building a brighter future. It's not just about the big projects or grand gestures, it's about the small acts of care that truly make an impact. As we've heard today, the work people like Dave do in our communities reflects the values of Freemasonry. So, let's take what we've learnt, look around us and find a way to make a difference. Because together, we can achieve amazing things.